Okay, hi. So, hearing weird things in my house. Charlie's Angels has already been out in the US and it didn't perform great, but where I live, it's coming out in January, so, maybe it didn't do very well domestically, but it might do really well internationally. You never know. But I haven't watched the trailer. I know it came out like months ago, but I never watched it, and I love the original Charlie's Angels. Not the OG original ones. I haven't watched them, but the one with Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu. They are amazing. They were, they just made me feel so like badass and that I could do anything. And let's be real, that was every childhood awakening crush. Those three ladies were amazing. Okay, so I really love them. I'm really fond of them. I haven't rewatched them lately, so I don't know how. Cause obviously some movies do not hold up with the time, but still, they're guilty pleasure, but I don't feel any guilt with them. And I'm like, I will watch them. So I'm gonna watch the trailer. I have seen Elizabeth Banks. She's the director, and I think she's also in the movie. That she's been saying that the reason this movie kind of flopped was because men prefer to watch, there's an influx of superhero movies and men kind of don't watch these movies, and it's like, I want to actually read the article. I don't want to put words into her mouth, but when I just saw the title, I was like, what is going on? But first reaction, then talking about her, what she said, and then if I'll go see it or not, because I feel like that's the most important thing. I think obviously the directors and every production, they really want to get the US or the UK. I don't know if they bring out movies at the same time, the US and the UK, but the US is like a huge market to them. So people think, oh, just because it flopped nationally, then they'll be horrible abroad, and not always. A lot of movies do really successful internationally, and that's why they get a sequel. And maybe they didn't do so well nationally, but what's bringing the money is internationally, because obviously, it's just different what people perceive as good or bad or whatever. Anyways, to the reaction. I'm talking way too much. I mean, I always do.
Charlie's Angels trailer right now. Don't call me angel.
I think women can do anything.
Just because they can doesn't mean they should.
I don't know how I felt about that. Kristen Stewart is gorgeous. She's always been gorgeous. I think people give her a lot of slack because they think that she's the same actress. I mean, the same, words. She played Bella perfectly. If you read the books, Bella was very, monotone, kind of boring, kind of dull, and she played that wonderfully, and so people think that that's just her whole acting shtick is her just being monotone when she was actually playing the character. It's like Robert Pattinson. He's a phenomenal actor, and no one is sitting there being like, oh, actually, when he was announced to be Batman, people were like, oh, but I didn't like him in Twilight. He was playing a character, and did a good job, because, if you guys read the books, Twilight, I loved it, but it had its things, it kind of was but it was great. Anyways, back to this.
You have so many talents.
It's like I'm
Elijah. I'm just a decoy stud.
That's just the way you make me feel. Humanitarian.
Outstanding angels.
I didn't know he was in this movie. I might just watch this movie because of him. I forgot that Kristen Stewart has short hair. I would love her with really long hair, but she probably doesn't like it, but still, she looks amazing both ways, but I just really like her with long hair. This literally adds nothing to it. It's just me talking about it.
You have a new client?
Who is she?
Oh, I love that actor. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he is in so many good movies, and he usually plays the villain. He does it really well, but I love him. He's a good actor.
Sleep at night.
I'm a lead programmer on a product that can revolutionize the power industry, but there is a possibility it can be weaponized.
Elena, we need to go. Now!
You're not a waitress? No, I'm Jane. Oh.
That scene, I don't know why, it reminded me of Underground 6, even though Underground 6 came out just now, but it reminded me of that.
Who are you?
I'm boss.
I kind of always wonder when directors are in their movie. I mean, obviously, well, like when they're how does that work? Because like it's like M. Night Shyamalan. He's in some of his movies, but he's in like a one scene. I don't know if she's in it. Well, she is because she's Bosley. So I don't know. Does she just? Well, I mean, she actually directs herself, but I don't know. It's like
Welcome to the Townsend Agency. We exist because traditional law enforcement can't keep up.
I don't like that, boy.
You guys are like lady spies. Dane's former MI6. Oh God. What did you do to Sven?
I compressed his carotid and deoxygenated his brainstem.
Well, that sounds painful. Don't worry, he's gonna wake up.
Unless he doesn't.
Sabina runs the ground game. See, I know stuff.
so she's like. Well, I mean, in the original, not the OGs, the original ones, it was usually they kind of all did the, you know, the groundwork or the seduction or the like, you know, and so in this one they kind of placed roles, which isn't a bad thing. I just think it's kind of like, obviously one of them is like the real like badass, kind of like, you know, killer, I don't really care type, and Kristen's character is more of like, obviously she's still badass, but she's more of like the people entrapping them. I don't know if that's kind of like how they'll play the whole entire movie of them just being those established characters in that sense. And obviously the third, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna put their pictures or their names because I know I'm just talking about like characters and I don't know the actual names in the movie. She's like the newcomer and she has a program that can be used badly, well, for bad uses or tragic uses, whatever, but I don't get why she's part of the team then. Is she just like, they just have to bring her along or what? Like, I don't get it.
Let's get the weapon before it becomes every bad guy's favorite new toy. Take her to the closet, gear her up. We're gonna need some wigs, toys, clothes. Ah, we're still in the first closet.
There's another closet.
Oh, Vince.
Let's just stop the touching. Some of these blows up.
I still don't get the reason. I mean, obviously they're gonna explain it. Why would they bring her along if she knows nothing? I mean, wouldn't she be more of a nuisance? Like, you know, they even said that stop touching things, they blow up. So wouldn't it be more dangerous to bring her along? I don't. Oh, I have that dress. Not exactly that dress, but like a dress similar to that with like the sequins and the green. Did I just see Noah Centineo? I have no idea what the hell his last name. There was a moment where he was literally in all the movies, and I was kind of like, is it because he's like the most popular at the time, so they were just like bringing him in? I did see a review where they did say that the action scenes were very heavily edited, like an arm edited, foot moving edited, like cut it, like, you know, and that's what killed Resident Evil, the last one they made. The editing was horrible and it ruined the whole experience, and I feel like that made the possibility of this one, because the thing is, if you don't do good action scenes in an action filled movie, and what's the point? Like, yeah, the characters will entertain me, but like, I want to see action, especially if it's an action movie, especially if it's Charlie's Angels. And like, I feel like if you're gonna just line up to this movie, you should be, obviously, I'm not saying that it's the actors, because sometimes actors are very willingly, but the editing isn't, you know, or the director of production or the company behind it, just, you never know who, like, you can't just point a finger and be like, this is this person's, but it's like, you have, like, for example, I really love shots where you can see from behind everything full perspective, and the actor is actually fighting, or sword fighting, or whatever, and it's not cut in, like, 30 shots, and you're just like, what the heck is happening?
I love phosphorus.
It's my favorite chemical.
Jane, are you flirting with a handsome nerd?
Of course not.
I can already see where that's going, and I really wish they wouldn't. Why? Okay. Oh, Naomi Scott and Ella. Okay.
How'd that feel? Because it looked like it felt really good.
That felt nice.
how does she know how to fight? Do they just teach her? What is the timeline of this movie? Because you can't learn how to fight in like a day or a week. I mean, you could do self-defense, but like like there's things. Okay, this is gonna sound so like not nerdy, but so like nitpicky. When you're gonna be a spy or something, I feel like you're trained to ignore your instincts in the sense of when you're being attacked, you have like the flight or fight response, and also the not do anything response. Like if you see some people when they're in attack, they just freeze up and don't know what to do, and so you're trained to kind of override that and act. And so I feel like if you're a civilian, a normal civilian who's lived, let's just guess that she's 24 in the movie or something, for 24 years living a civilian life, and then you're thrown into the spy world, your first reactions aren't going to be, oh, I'm going to fight or whatever. And maybe they show her in the scenes in the movie of her like being scared or her like pushing, standing behind or like, and maybe that scene is her growth or whatever, but it's kind of like she's a civilian, she has no... Why do I hear things in my house? Okay. I just forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, why would she have, I don't know. Let's continue before we get more freaked out at this hour.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
Screenplay by Elizabeth, directed by Elizabeth, story by Evan and David. Okay, so let's look up. Okay, so it says Sony's Charlie's Angel crashed and burned in its domestic opening with an estimated 8.6 million, becoming the third high-profile reboot or sequel in a row to bomb after Terminator Dark Fate and Doctor Sleep last weekend. What? Doctor Sleep didn't do good? Okay, so she says, Elizabeth Banks says, if this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces the stereotype that in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action films. So they kind of brought up the fact that, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel had 426 million in the US, and Wonder Woman had 821 million worldwide. And she says they'll go and see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because that's a male genre. So even though those are movies about women, they put them in a context of feeding the larger comic book world. So it's all about, yes, you're watching a Wonder Woman movie, but we're setting up 3 other characters, setting up Justice. Oh, okay, I get what she's saying. But why? Like, I don't think it's... like, I understand what she's trying to say, the fact that, men will watch, a movie more because it's setting up other characters and setting up this universe, but to blame your failed or your setback, because it's not a failure yet, it hasn't released internationally, so it might do very well internationally, it just didn't do well domestically, but blaming your setback on an entire gender and being like, you guys suck because you don't go watch, women action films. And I believe that men will watch, because Charlie's Angels was really popular back then. In my memory, I feel like the OGs and the originals were really popular, and like you do see Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, and they do have other characters, but they're women-centered films. And you have Atomic Blonde, you have Red Raven, or whatever it's called, the one with Jennifer Lawrence. Did not watch it, but a lot of people did. You now have, Black Widow. It has a lot of views, and a lot of people are very excited because it's a movie that people have been asking you for like a decade. And so I think it's unreasonable to say, oh, men won't watch this, or like, no, men just can't relate, because it's the same thing as saying like, oh, a woman can't watch, 007 or Mission Impossible because, oh, I can't relate to Tom Cruise because he's a male and I'm a woman. Like, that's not that's not how humans work. I mean, yeah, there's probably a percentage of men who won't watch women-centered roles just because they don't want to, because they see a woman in the character and they can't relate. And yeah, that happens. It's like You know, there's some war movies that I'm not gonna go watch because one, I'm not interested, but second, I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of even though there's a bunch of male characters, you can still be empathetic towards their experience. But like I said, some people just don't want to, and that's totally fine. But that I feel like is a small percentage compared to other people who can view something without necessarily being about their gender. You know, like in the sense of like, oh, I'm a guy and I'm watching a Wonder Woman. No, like, you know, it has nothing to do with that. Hold on. I don't think that it's. I think it gave her a bad look. I think she was angry and she lashed. She was hurt and she was angry, and so for her it was a reasonable, logical argument or counter argument on why people were asking her why her movie flopped. In my opinion, it didn't flop. It just had a setback because I take into consideration national and international. If it failed nationally and internationally, that's a different thing. But like I said, it still hasn't come out internationally, so it's not a flop yet. Domestically, maybe, but not internationally. So it must be very hard and must be very sad to have a movie that you screenplayed, that you directed, and you put all your work and love into it, and then it comes out and it doesn't do well. And so people asking you like, oh, but why isn't it doing well? Why is it, you know, what the heck is happening? And so I understand where she's coming from, but I think it's a disservice to blame men and to say like, oh, it's their fault that this movie didn't do well. Because the thing is, it could be a number of things. Like I said, it could be the editing and the action sequence. It could be the tone. It could be the way that the characters aren't fully fleshed. I haven't watched this movie, so I don't know. It could be just the storyline. It could have been, like I said, all those things that I brought up before. I don't know how they're going to handle it in the movie. Maybe they didn't handle it well, and people just are like, no. And the thing is, when you do a sequel, of reboot, whatever, people are going to compare it to the first one. It's inevitable. Even if they compare it to the OG ones and the original ones, they're going to compare it. And so a lot of people grew up in love Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, and even the OG ones. And so when you have these, you know, three women who were very charismatic, very bubbly, very funny, but also badass, and you're just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to reboot the whole thing, when you really, I mean, from what I'm seeing, like, that's not actually, I mean, yes, like, they're different characters, they're different, you know, it's like a different universe or thing, but, I don't know, but like I said, I think it's kind of weird to blame it on men, because we have seen other spy movies that are focused on women do good in the box office, so I think it was just, maybe also people are getting bored of reboots, not sequels, just reboots, because it's like, oh, can we do something different? And, you know, Elizabeth Banks could have done an action, you know, spy movie with women and just made it own thing without relying on Charlie's Angels, because people already have it associated with, you know, the OGs and the originals, and she could have just made it her own thing, you know, and it wouldn't have had people comparing it to what it was before. You know, you had, you know, the villains in Charlie's Angels, the guy who didn't speak, I don't remember his name, Demi Moore, like, people are inevitably going to compare that to that and compare the action to that, and then, you know, people are going to be like, oh, well, I like this one more, or oh no, and then it's just, if she had done her own thing, like, yeah, a spy movie with women, a team, all that stuff, but no one would have like, yeah, it would be compared to other spy movies, but not one specific one that a lot of people still have in their mind. And even though it's been a while since the original Charlie's Angels came out, to some people it feels like maybe 8 years. So yeah, me being a really big fan of Charlie's Angels, I don't know about this one. Will I watch it? I honestly don't know. I'm not knowing if I'm willing to spend 15 pesos to go see this movie, because, like I said, if it's an action-packed movie, I want the action scenes to look amazing, and if they're not done well, be it the editing or whatever, it just feels choppy, it feels rushed, it feels like, oh, just get it over with, I don't want to see it. It just makes no sense, you know. editing could kill a movie. Anything, you know, music choice, the ambiance, the music, everything can just be like, what the heck is happening? And that's a scary thing to think about when you're directing and, you know, producing or whatever a film. And I don't think it's her first film. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know, it's just something's off. I don't know what it is, but if anyone's watching this who has watched Charlie and the Angels, please tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And did you think it was worth watching it, or more like, oh, I'll just wait until it inevitably comes out on Netflix? Hopefully it comes out on Netflix soon, so I don't have to watch it. You know, pay for it to watch it. But yeah, so a super long reaction thing, but like I wanted to discuss what she had talked about and also my opinions about it and the concerns that I had about it. So yeah, but I feel like there's some certain cliches that I really hope they don't do, but we'll see. So that is my perspective, my opinion, my whatever you want to call it, my view. And you know, it's sad, obviously, like I said, to have a big project that you love not start out well, but I hope she doesn't let herself be discouraged, you know, to keep directing and, you know, maybe shadow direct. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Other directors who are very, you know, who have done a lot of action-packed scenes, because you're constantly learning, and this was their learning point. Obviously, it's a lot of money in budget, but it's still a learning project. Anything is a project. You know, I'm pretty sure James Cameron, even Avatar is a project to him, because then the next one he'll know what to fix or what to do better. So I know I just compared those two movies that are like on two different sides of the spectrum, whatever. But you know what I mean. So yeah, bye.